coronavirus spreading.
Fears grow of a global pandemic.
A huge spike in cases in Italy.
Hundreds of cases in South Korea. New cases reported in Europe.
Switzerland, like many other countries around the world, has decided on very restrictive measures to help control the COVID-19 pandemic. It was clear early on that the SeedStars Summit would not take place.
Hey guys!
The SeedStars team decided to work hard on coming up with an alternative that would give a chance to all the hard-working entrepreneurs to have a voice and reach as large an audience as possible. This is how the SeedStars Online Summit was born. Let's find out more on this online summit from Alice de Tonac and Pierre-Alain Masson.
Hi everyone, this is Elise, co-founder of SeedStars.
Hi, this is Pierre-Alain, co-founder of SeedStars.
And we are here live from our homemade studio to welcome you to the first ever online SeedStars Summit.
The SeedStars Summit actually kicked off on Monday, where we started with our startup bootcamp, where we had more than 70 companies, where we organized more than 270 meetings with mentors one-to-one. Then we had our investor forum, where these entrepreneurs were able to meet with investors, and we've organized more than 100 one-on-one meetings with investors, and now they're negotiating the deals.
Today, the 3rd of April, marks the end of the SeedStars Summit week. Further to our Startup Bootcamp, Investor Forum, today we're broadcasting a show so that you can experience the physicality of the summit from the comfort of your home. More importantly, we also want you to hopefully experience the energy that we bring every year to the SeedStars Summit.
So we'll be starting with the magazine. The idea of the magazine is to highlight topics that are close to our community's hearts. That includes migration, education, digital access for all, and the green economy. The magazine puts at the center these entrepreneurs that are trying to change the status quo in their respective fields.
Next, we'll have our very much anticipated documentary on one of the entrepreneurs that won last year's competition. It's the story of Alima, co-founder of CowTribe, coming all the way from Ghana. We're very proud to announce that this documentary was actually selected for the Festival of Cannes, which, as you can imagine, was suspended. But today we want to make sure that you can enjoy an in-depth journey of one of SeedStars' heroes.
And finally, we'll be broadcasting the final of the SeedStars World competition, where we received more than 5,000 applications during the year in more than 83 countries, and we had 44 semi-finalists during our regional summits. We'll be showcasing the top 5 finalists that will compete for the SeedStars World Global Winner Prize, which is an investment of up to $500,000.
Now let the show begin.
For this episode of The Mag, we've selected for you some of the key topics trending in 2019 by showcasing some entrepreneurs from all corners of the world that are having a truly positive impact on people's lives. They push the boundaries of accessibility for the visually and hearing impaired, and more generally for people with disabilities. Education remains a major lever to improve people's lives, helping fight both unemployment and underemployment. Fighting the greenhouse gas jeopardy has also triggered the imagination of young entrepreneurs. With the recent increase of massive population displacement, a series of new issues needs to be tackled. Here also, a combination of will, imagination and technology can make a huge difference. Lazarillo is a free app developed for the visually impaired. The app uses spoken language
Baños a 48 metros al frente
to safely guide the user through the city maze. Easy access to museums, banks, hospitals and retail shops, but also safe use of public transport is granted thanks to detailed audio guidance.
Subway entrance Avenue Mada, 33 meters, in front of you.
Beyond obvious advantages for the users, companies, private or public, which embrace the technology get a rapid return on investment by increasing their client base. Lazarillo has been created and is currently led by René Espinosa in Santiago, Chile. A close friend of his, Miguel, has played an important part right from the beginning in the creation of the app. The young team of developers work in close collaboration with disabled people
Double tap to activate.
to continually improve Lazarillo. With 160,000 users today, the company is currently working on increasing the global reach of its solutions. Starting from Chile, the company is actively developing its client base in the whole American continent through local partners and distributors. But growth is also based on leveraging the Lazarillo technology by helping wheelchair users to find accessible routes. More than ever, René Espinosa and his team are dedicated to making the world a better place for hundreds of millions of disabled people. MADA is Qatar's assistive technology center. Collaborating with many national and international partners, MADA strives to adapt a vast array of existing accessibility technologies for Arabic speakers. MADA's beneficiaries range all the way from children with learning disabilities to the elderly population. Typical services for the elderly are reading assistance, automated audiobooks, medical reminders for better prescription compliance, easy access to home control systems, phone directories, and general access to the digital world. Help is also provided to people with hearing or visual disabilities, such as Fatma, a law student at Qatar University, or Khaloud, a young executive at work or in everyday life.
تعرفوا وين الأويسس كافيه؟ بتعرفي وين الأويسس كافيه؟ لا ما بعرف.
أنا أعرف وين.
تعرفي؟
تطلعين من هالمحل.
MADA is also actively advocating against discrimination and takes part in raising awareness more broadly.
You have just experienced the importance of assistive technology, the MADA, expanding abilities.
For those physically challenged, sometimes heavily like Yusuf, MADA provides state-of-the-art technology. Yusuf's life took on a totally new meaning as soon as he could start communicating more easily and work as a social media manager. Yasser, Mohammed, Dunya, Fatma, Yusuf and many others will recognize themselves in Khaloud's own words.
أنا حتماً قادرة.
I think technology should be inclusive and serve the humanity because the main principle of life is to give.
It's with this strong conviction that Hugo, Lenin and Carlos joined their efforts to create Talov, based in Quito, Ecuador. When they first met, Hugo was working on an app that converts images into audio. Lenin was developing a glove sensor to translate gestures into words, and Carlos was coding mobile apps. It took them little time to realize they could join forces to make a major impact on the lives of the hearing and visually impaired. Talov has successfully developed Vision. It's an app that relies on artificial intelligence to convert what the cell phone sees into audible words.
Pineapple, 0.62 meters.
It's an incredible tool that literally enables visually impaired people to see their surrounding. Speak Liz breaks communication barriers for the hearing impaired.
Qué gusto verte, Eric. ¿Nos tomamos un café?
It does so by converting text into audio and back, but it also creates an audio environment by converting what the phone's microphone perceives into written language. Beyond signaling the presence of a person outside of the field of vision, the app will interpret diverse sounds and help the user make the right decision, for example when a fire alarm rings.
Hello, how are you?
But the most innovative tool is the app's ability to translate sign language into written text or spoken words.
My age is 32.
A specially developed sensor not only records arm movements, but also reads all the subtle finger moves that are a crucial part of sign language. The sensor can be hidden under clothing and frees the user from wearing an impractical and awkward glove. Above all, Speakliz breaks the communication barrier for those, like most of us, who don't master sign language. Talov, which has been granted many prizes, is now selling in more than 65 countries and growing. Both apps were first developed in Spanish, English, Simplified Chinese and Portuguese and are now available in 35 languages. But let's hear co-founder of Talov, Hugo Jacome, speak about the drive behind success.
Es clave encontrar gente que comparta esa misma pasión, de generar un impacto de verdad, de cambiar alguna problemática social con una solución que sea potente, escalable, viable. Únanse a esta comunidad vibrante de gente que quiere cambiar las cosas.
Programa Valentina was born to help solve unemployment and underemployment for vulnerable populations, including youth, returned migrants, internally displaced, and refugees.
Guatemala-based Programa Valentina is a capacity-building program on steroids. In less than 8 weeks, each student is given a chance to significantly increase his or her chance to get a decent job. Training takes place in a challenging, work-like environment. About 1/5 of the course is dedicated to the mastering of current digital tools. The remaining time is used to develop soft skills such as emotional intelligence, proactivity, commitment, and adaptability. At the end of the course, a detailed evaluation certifies the different skills acquired by each student. This evaluation is then used by companies to find the right candidate for the right job, including for those with no work experience. Enrollment is done online, and a grant can be obtained for those in need. And to further boost Programa Valentina's impact on society, each student who finds a job is asked to contribute by sharing part of the first wages to fund 3 more students. Companies having contracted so-called Valentinas and Valentinos were so impressed they asked for help to further train their own employees. Let's hear what they have to say about the Programa Valentina.
Ver cómo se expresaban, cómo daban retroalimentación, el uso de las herramientas y ver esta transición en tan poco tiempo, para nosotros fue algo que nos gustó mucho de Valentina.
Programa Valentina has developed a particularly efficient capacity building solution and plays a key role in promoting social and economic equality by helping reduce the digital and gender breach.
I'm the kind of person that enjoys a challenge, actually.
Founder of Zafri Papers, Bethelhem Dejen, indeed had to face many challenges in order to give her innovative idea a chance to come to reality. A simple but brilliant idea, turning crop residue into paper, thus transforming agro-waste into a precious resource. In Africa, crop residue is traditionally burnt on site, adding to the greenhouse gas devastating effects. Using this locally produced resource has several advantages. It cuts down on the financial and ecological costs involved with forest exploitation, cross-border wood transport, and the uncertainty of foreign exchange. It provides complementary revenues to local farmers, and it potentially preserves the carbon absorption capabilities of trees by lowering the impact of paper production on forest land. The quality of paper produced from crop waste is identical to standard tree pulp-based production, and far superior to that of recycled paper. Based in Ethiopia, Zafri Papers, literally treeless paper, has plans to expand to the whole African continent. Africa paper consumption is increasing steadily by 10% from year to year, a true opportunity for Zafri. Starting up such a project is no easy task, especially for a young woman.
Of course, there's a lot of challenge, especially when you're a girl and a young person.
With a great idea, a proven technical solution, and a solid business plan based on extensive market research, Bethelhem besieged Ethiopian government officials until she was given a piece of land for the construction of the first production plant. She also successfully managed to convince various partners to commit financially and has already signed purchase orders from all major paper producers in Ethiopia. These achievements were made possible thanks to a particular mindset. Let's hear Bethelhem talk about that.
Whenever you want to do something, you have to think of the worst case scenario if you know the worst case scenario and if you have a solution for the worst case scenario, that is going to happen. It might not happen, but if you have a solution for that, then you're mentally ready for anything. So wherever you go, you're a winner.
More determined than ever, Bethlehem, during a meeting in Zambia where she was only invited as a guest, managed to squeeze in her pitch when she was given the mic during a Q&A session.
Immediately after that pitch, the moderator was telling me to stop, but I just kept going on. I didn't listen to her. So I pitched, I talked about the project, and I talked about the challenge, about the finance. And as soon as I finished, the question was closed because I took all the time. They all of them, they replied to my questions. And then immediately after the panel was over, everyone came to me, literally. I felt like a celebrity. So the next project will be in Zambia, I'm hoping. And it will duplicate in many countries. Yeah.
That is pretty awesome.
Thanks to Bethlehem's great idea and very strong will, Zafri Papers is on the verge of making a difference for both the environment and the African economies.
The person who came with the idea of this structure has done a lot.
Among the millions of people forced to flee their homes in recent years, many have ended up in camps, where tents have been the go-to solution for decades. Adapted to temporary housing, tents are very often used for years as the average time spent by refugees in camps increases steadily. A tent lifespan is 2 years at the most, and replacement costs rapidly rise to unexpected levels. More important though, living conditions in high or low temperatures are very harsh under a tent. Safety and privacy are compromised. Heating and cooking needs create serious fire hazards, and there's no sound insulation at all. Living under a tent not only creates stress, but negates a basic human right, intimacy. Life Shelter was developed in collaboration with NGOs and universities to answer all the issues raised by the use of tents. It's a modular concept that can accommodate various needs, from small families to large classrooms. The walls provide good sound insulation and protect against cold and hot weather. The overall shape has been designed to resist high winds and earthquakes. Entrance doors can be locked, thus increasing security and privacy. Furthermore, the curved panels can be built locally, creating a new source of income. With their typical 20 years plus lifespan, shelters which are not needed anymore can be dismantled, the panels straightened and used for isolating traditional housing. Natalie is working for Oxfam. Let's hear what she thinks of Life Shelter.
It's not only about cost benefit, not only about durability, about being environmentally friendly, it's also about the dignity that it brings to a family living in a solid shelter where they can feel comfortable as compared to living in a tent that can collapse anytime in winter, or where it's cold and where you can't lock your doors and where you don't feel comfortable.
Used successfully since 2013, Life Shelters is a cost-effective and sustainable solution to ease the life of millions of refugees. Berat Kiamili is Albanian. He used to live in Macedonia, but a regional conflict forced him to seek refuge in Turkey.
Actually, when I went to Turkey, what they asked me was papers. When you are a foreigner, all matters is papers. If you don't have papers, no one can help you, even NGOs.
Berat spent a whole week queuing up to get his papers. This gave him plenty of time to think of a solution to the problem he and many other refugees were facing.
As young change makers, we started writing proposals, and one of the proposals was to give online papers to immigrants coming to Turkey. And today, the website that we started has 10 million users, which is higher than the population of Switzerland.
Berat went on to develop an app, Migport, which builds bridges between refugees and locals. The app not only brings direct help to refugees, giving them easier access to information and other services like education, it also creates data at very low cost. This data is precious. It can vastly improve the way NGOs, international organizations and governments spend the huge amount of money dedicated to migrants. After spending years as a refugee in Turkey, Berat is more than ever convinced by one thing.
There is a way for integration using technology.
Migration is often associated with life-threatening issues, but when leaving their homes, migrants also lose easy access to their own financial assets. Leaf Global has a great solution to safely move money across borders, avoiding the dangers of carrying cash when on the go.
There are over 68 million refugees in the world today, and another 100 million living in crisis. Often their only option to hang on to savings when forced to flee is to carry cash, which is extremely dangerous, inconvenient, and expensive to exchange. Leaf Global FinTech provides financial services to refugees so that they don't have to carry cash while in flight. Leaf safely stores and transports assets across borders, all accessible through a mobile device, no smartphone required. Leaf converts mobile money through blockchain technology into stable investments that can be accessed no matter where a refugee goes or how long it takes to get there. By creating a virtual bank, Leaf eliminates the need to carry cash and the high fees associated with sending money across borders. Friends and family across the world can contribute into the customer's account. Blockchain plus biometric authentication make the platform extremely secure and transparent, in addition to being instantaneous and inexpensive. Leaf doesn't store value in cryptocurrency, so customers are hedged against volatility. At the same time, Leaf makes revenue like a bank. The Leaf team brings expertise across financial services, technology, and the refugee crisis, making them uniquely suited to solve this problem. Leaf ultimately creates an economic identity for customers, enabling economic security for the stateless and excluded. Visit leafglobalfintech.com to learn more about virtual banking beyond borders.
As we've seen, migrants are facing a vast number of problems, but there's one particular issue that's often left aside, that of mental health. Being forced to flee from home can have devastating psychological consequences. Born in Giza, Egypt, Shezlong was created by Ahmed Abulhaz to help those in need to get appropriate mental health therapy online. The confidentiality of consultations is guaranteed. This greatly encourages patients to seek help, especially in cultural environments where mental problems are denied or considered a spiritual crisis. Natakala means we speak in Arabic, and there's no doubt founder Alim Sarah is the best ambassador for Natakalam.
Today, over 65 million people are forced to flee from their home. Within that number, about 20 million are qualified as refugees, and only 1% of the global refugee population will get resettled to a third country where they are actually able to restart their lives. So we're looking at a mass number of people who are completely left in limbo, and millions of them are highly educated. Natakalam connects refugees to remote language opportunities in the language sector, such as tutoring and translation. And the goal is to give an income to the unemployable, who are mostly displaced people who have crossed borders and are in countries where they don't have a work permit. We hire them and we find remote opportunities such as teaching or translating documents. So it's leveraging their native language skills to access an income, regardless of their status. Since inception, we've dispersed over $500,000 to refugees. We've had over 4,500 unique users on the language learner side. We've worked with over a dozen university partners and have been present in over 75 schools around the world. The vision for the project as we grow is to revolutionize the language sector through refugee employment, leveraging the freelance economy, this trend of digital nomadism for refugees who are forced digital nomads. We really believe that beyond the language service, beyond the business, we're changing people's minds and building bridges rather than walls.
Natakalam user base is steadily growing, leveraging on technology to provide a better life to migrants while reducing cultural gaps. SeedStars and its partners are playing a major role in helping all the innovations we've just seen become a reality. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Mag, and stay tuned for the next episodes to discover hard-working and creative young entrepreneurs that have seized some tremendous opportunities in emerging markets.
Six years ago, when we launched SeedStars World, we branded ourselves with the Mexican proverb that said, "They tried to bury us, but they did not know we were seeds." That is SeedStars. We are the unexpected seeds, hustling for high impact. We are SeedStars. I am SeedStars. Now the question is, are you SeedStars?
bomo kakata boko ejentre sa berga an ka be bal bomo ka manyi kana wena mi mbaki en bomo le fiso anyin tan ban kata bomo na tan kwa ban ba fona kolo kwa ban lura sa boya na to mo bomo kake nkan kanye enchina na tam ko na wata lomba asboya na finanta kata bomo an mango fana mfe yuko ka mon fanye so tinti ya wura shishara mpurmo di kwako na gwar bamba finga ato bungo dipuna bentan tor na saboya nga ayare na batia na fwe nkakanyi
kashinta amo ka balla jamun ko bimba wonta no bumbo lu ayaba to bantin bon gule to na foyo ka beta yeke bishi fente nyi odurna ba kwa mbo futu bumune ka ba bo ansafo osako ba tora ba la fanja ka chala siba ya fu asukubiti mbwana ba umunna fane kemele to na baba afote agban ama fa ba ya nyi bumbo durna na ka beta mbo futu mu poyana ka ba bo to luna bra ba tora ga nyene bum nko shina bara fani ofu be jamane ni ofuba ya fole nko shina ba luna baba to ko shina ba luna barba nyi minya mo bo durba ka wata bamba ngungu na le to mu wonu be ya kafeya na ba kafeya to na fana prekonishina atete bo mwa na bana ba yol da so asafo
My name is Alima Bawa from Ghana. I work on Cow Tribe Technology together with my co-founder Peter Owen. And our dream is to make sure that we democratize animal health services to every single farmer in Africa and make it more convenient and accessible. Basically, our form of support to farmers is getting them the relevant vaccines on time and when they need it at the right place, because our mission is to make sure that vaccine is available to prevent diseases and by far to reduce mortality. I feel proud coming back to my community because I do know the impact I am making in my community, and a lot of people are looking to see how they can become like me, or they can be of support to Cow Tribe to make sure we grow and to benefit a lot more.
My name is Peter Awin, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Cow Tribe. I founded Cow Tribe because I believe everybody should have the opportunity for a decent and dignified life. And I believe that Cow Tribe providing animal health services to farmers makes that dream possible for everyone.
Faya enjoy come. Mami sakinete na nyumburento funa boken kebeba.
Nusubenete. Azaka kama shanu nyumburento ma nusubente na ebisho. Mi ala bora yara mombro monele fia. Koma nano.
Ambisa kuya shunku na. Anda wore competition na akra nambo company denji. So nawo kanganya nyumburento. So amba yumbrent na bi wor fana account radam fana oful dam te bia na badrunya kaketo ana sherndo ana baria
bara samanyike
amen
ya samanya nasara sami po mi dunga no sambe penele
amen. The idea of Cow Tribe is a very personal one because myself and Peter, my partner, all came out of livestock keeping families. He was a herder and I grew up with my grandmother at the age of 1.5 years till I got to high school. During this whole period, my grandmother and I kept a couple of chicken that we grew to pay for my school fees. And when it got to a time when these animals died, I had to drop out of school and go weed on people's farms. And that is how come I was able to get to a high school level. Even after completion, I took up a job as a journalist in a broadcast station in our region, Tamale. When I became a journalist, I focused on rural reporting and agriculture. One thing that was constant and kept coming up was how people were losing their precious animals. And growing up in my community, I had never heard of who is called a veterinarian. And as a matter of fact, I learned how to spell a veterinarian when I started working on Cow Tribe with my partner, because it wasn't a familiar thing. I have never seen a vet, and that tells you how much scarce veterinarians are in Ghana.
Why are you here today? Well, first of all, you are some of the most promising businesses in your regions. But more importantly, you are the rising stars. What I mean by rising stars is that you are the entrepreneur that is going to have a positive influence in your local ecosystems. So you're here to network, to learn, and you're here to fundraise. Welcome to the Seed Star Summit, its 6th edition. Let's live this roller coaster ride together. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Andrea.
Hi, my name is Solia Khan. I'm Arifur Rahman.
Suli Siucho.
Federico Hernandez.
Hugo Jacome from Ecuador.
I'm from Cambodia.
Bolivia.
Bangladesh.
Peru.
I'm from Argentina, CFO and co-founder of Blended. My startup name is Junak Delivery.
Panal Fresh.
Parking Koi.
Talof.
Rebajatuscuentas.com, a platform that connects local farmers with final markets.
A mobile-first communication and LMS platform for schools.
We are Latin America's online mortgage broker.
SeedStars is an organization that has for objective to support entrepreneurs in emerging markets. We're doing everything. It could be incubation program, acceleration, events, investments, whatever we need in order to support these entrepreneurs that will hopefully have an impact in emerging markets.
When you look at our values, we have independently together, we have in experiments we trust, hack this system. We have a motto at SeedStars which is kiss, kill.
Keep it simple, keep it lean.
We are at the SeedStars Summit, and the objective of the summit is to reunite all the best entrepreneurs that we've selected from 80 cities around the world that will compete to win different prizes, including the best startup that will get an investment of up to $500,000.
I got all my startups with me. SeedStars family. I got all my startups with me.
The environment is extremely vibrant. There's so much passion, strong energy, positivity. It's a really amazing experience to see the drive and the energy that the startups have.
I think it's a unique event. Give a sense, if you want, of globalization, but also a sense of cooperation between different cultures and different mentalities.
It's a fantastic way of being able to get in touch with different continents in the world and the people who have got lots of energy and want to really make this a better world.
The first 2 days is really focused on supporting the entrepreneurs in achieving their next milestone. So it's what we call the Startup Bootcamp, super intense, hardcore, back-to-back, where they meet with mentors, advisors, investors. Then we go into the Investor Forum, where all startups pitch in front of hundreds of investors coming in to better understand their businesses, followed by one-on-ones to discuss more in depth the opportunities of investment. And at the end of the day, we announce the top finalists that will head to the main stage the next day, where we'll be announcing the winners, but also we'll be having different conversations around innovation, impact, and investment in emerging markets.
My profession, I was working as a broadcaster, and I focused on rural reporting. So I did a lot of agri programs, and I went back to rural areas, making feedback and airing them.
CowTribe, I really liked the idea. I think very good first impression.
They were absolutely amazing. I love seeing African solutions to an African problem that's really targeted at the need.
You know, being operational in Africa, there are many challenges. Infrastructure is bad. There are many blockers for the business. It's the same thing I was saying about, you know, doing something meaningful because you are helping your people.
The role of mentor is to listen to the startups, their concerns and their problems, and to help them to find their own solutions, give them advice from our own knowledge with the other startups that are also interacting on the same table to share their concerns and also the challenges that they have and how they've also been able to resolve problems that other startups have had.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, how was your meeting today?
The investors are rushing for meeting us. Tomorrow is going to be the big day, definitely. 1 minute pitch will be happening tomorrow, and then 3 minute will be happening the day after.
Bring some very good investor on board.
I hope, yeah.
Like, keeps eye on you. And we are like,
The platform like Seedster is a fantastic platform for everyone like us who are in a stage of growth.
What I'm looking for from this experience, learn different problems that in my vertical are happening in a lot of regions, Asia, Africa, not only Latin America.
Yeah, for the past couple of days, we've been meeting some mentors. Just speaking with the mentors and just listening to them share their experiences has made us feel more comfortable to go back, to strategize about how we can scale this model to other places.
You really cannot tell whether your business is really going to receive an investment or not because there are a lot of people, I think about 86 startups that are here, and a selected few are going to be pitching on the final day, and every person is doing an awesome project. So it's really competitive. However, I believe CowTribe is going to be pitching and subsequently to win the final prize, which is the $500,000 investment. Yeah.
Hey, come. Let me show you something. Ta-da! Yeah, this is a very beautiful weather. You know, I just woke up and saw the snow. Oh, it's so wonderful, you know, to have a surprise like this. I never really thought it would snow while I'm here, but you can imagine, I wish I can jump in and play, but of course, today is a D-Day, you know, we have to go and do some pitching and meet some investors.
Welcome to our annual Sixth Investor Forum. Thank you for being here from all the corners of the world to meet 78 startups from 5 different regions. Now, the rules of the game.
Pitches are super difficult, but 1 minute pitch is the most super difficult thing to do.
I feel that pitching is absolutely important. You have to get it right because, last year we met 1,000 startups, right? 1,000 of them, and we invest in 10 of them. So one of the best way to get intention from investor is that you have to do the pitching right.
There is a tendency for you to want to say everything. Now, you have to put a pitch into 5 minutes, into 3 minutes, into 1 minute. Oh my God, it is super difficult to do a 1 minute pitch because you really don't know what to take out and what to say that will catch the attention of the public.
You will have 1 minute to pitch, only 2 slides allowed, and will be ruthless when your time is up by ringing the cowbell just like this.
In Africa, less than 15% of genuine vaccines manufactured ever makes it to the farmers that need them most. Most farmers live in remote villages, and the veterinary system they rely on to serve them is broken. CowTribe's mission is to fix it with our on-demand vaccine delivery platform. For most of these farmers, we have identified the frustrations they go through. I mean millions of the African farmers, from the long distances they have to travel to access vets who never show up, the poor quality vaccines, and we have made this whole experience completely digital. We started operations 3 years ago, and we have already served over 31,000 farmers in over 200 communities in Ghana. Now, in each of these communities, we have attained...
Thank you. Now the next one is gonna be...
So we just finished the first pitch of the day. We were second to pitch. Actually, we were supposed to be third. We couldn't finish before time, but it's okay. I mean, it's just for us to be able to send the message, and I think people listened, yeah. I told her not to worry because, but of course, she was on stage and it was very intense for her. So she's going through, just trying to understand what happened.
So I actually was so nervous. I never expected to be called because I was supposed to be the third person. And just when the first person finished, I was expecting that someone was going next. And so I was relaxed. But before I realized, CowTribe was called. And suddenly everything, I just forgot of what I wanted to say. And so when I got on the stage, that is the reason I couldn't finish my pitch, because I was not prepared to be the second person to pitch. But it was such a sad moment for me then, yeah.
The startups that are going to be called next, you can approach the stage and celebrate with us.
Next up, we have Junak. I think our first ever finalist from Cambodia, no?
Okay, and next is CowTribe.
And well done to everybody, of course. We can only have 12 on the stage tomorrow. Doesn't mean the others are not great companies. So like I said, carry on, get yourselves investment readiness, keep in touch with the investors that were here today, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I was thinking the beginning should change a little bit.
Again?
Just a little bit.
worth over $3 billion and
how many hours left?
Growing at a staggering 7% per annum. This is very, very
just
simple.
end it there, don't add anything.
And then I have to be the mirror that she has to pitch to. And then I have to stop her if she's probably going too fast or too slow. So we are a team in this, but obviously it's very, very hard.
If I would be able to catch the attention of the judges and to be able to win the $500,000 investment. So I'm feeling really nervous, but I am already having a feeling that, well, I might just be the lucky person. CowTribe might just be the lucky startup to win.
Hello, my name is Suli. I'm co-founder of RebajaTusCuentas.com.
With a click of a button, teachers, clinician, therapists design, monitor,
anything more
analyze,
important in your life than your kids? And for all the apps you have in your phone, when it comes to the pitch, the 1 minute pitch is something quite difficult. Now it's a second challenge that is try to structure the 3 minute pitch where you have a little bit more time and choose which are the most relevant things about your business. It's a quite challenge. I've been rehearsing a lot. Probably I'm gonna be rehearsing a little bit more in a few hours, but hopefully everything's gonna go well. To make the world a better place. Thank you all very much.
We've been doing a 1 year sprint, which is long and intense, to get to where we are today and that grand finale. It's a lot of sweat, a lot of pain to get here. 6 years ago, when we launched SeedStars World, we branded ourselves with the Mexican proverb that said, "They tried to bury us, but they did not know we were seeds." That is SeedStars. We are the unexpected seeds, hustling for high impact. We are SeedStars. I am SeedStars. Now the question is, are you SeedStars? So when we are about to announce the winner, it gets really emotional.
SeedStars global winner is Blended from Argentina!
I know I told you a bunch of things, but let's never forget this. Every problem, it's an education problem. That's why transforming education is the only way we all have to make the world a better place. Thank you all very much. So I think we all are taking back home not only the investors and a really good network, but also a really good experience with different cultures of all over the world. SeedStars already changed a lot of my life and the way I'm thinking about entrepreneurs and the different cultures. I think it doesn't matter what the final result is. All that experience I'm taking me back home, so definitely it made an impact.
What I bring back to CowTribe from Lausanne is that we're bringing valuable skill to the table that allows us to go to the next step, and then to continue with the relationship that we had through the mentorship and make sure we continue to explore it. My dream is an Africa where every farmer can sit at the comfort of their home, make a request for essential animal services, and get it delivered at a convenient time.
My biggest dream, I imagine it for my children. I grew up seeing poverty, seeing children eat only once a day. I grew up wishing that there shouldn't be hunger in my home. Children should be able to go to school. And these children, including myself, we were parents of people who kept livestock. My dream is to see that every single person who depends on livestock as a main source of living wakes up every morning and smiles and not regret for choosing that as an occupation. And I think if that happens, then I'll be a happy person forever.
Welcome to the SeedStars World Competition 2020, which will be fully online this year. This year we have an amazing jury that will be helping us to judge the different startups that we'll be pitching today. The first one that I'd like to introduce is Cedric Valburger, who's a serial entrepreneur and also investor, and invests mainly in early stage startups across Europe, America, with his company Tomahawk VC. We have also Ramona Lieberhof, who's also an investor based out of Berlin, that is investing mainly in climate and environment, but also gender, smart cities, future of work, and compound technology innovation. She will be helping us today in judging these different companies alongside myself, one of the co-founder of SeedStars, and I've been a judge and an investor over the past 7 years at SeedStars. In order to accompany us, we are going to invite different experts for each startup. And the first one today is Shruti, that is Head Startup Catalyst and SME Ventures at IFC, World Bank, based out of Nairobi.
My name is Hilda. I'm the founder and CEO of Pezesha. Pezesha is a holistic digital financial and credit scoring infrastructure connecting small businesses with working capital here in Kenya. We basically provide working capital because we believe these businesses are going to be the future job creations for Africa. This is a $328 billion opportunity in Africa. We have been already in operation for 3 years, and we are already addressing this gap through our scalable digital financial value chain infrastructure, where we connect small businesses with institutional lenders, MFIs, and banks. And out of that provision of our infrastructure, we take a 20% interest commission and credit scoring fee for every borrower that we credit score through our platform. I'll tell you the story of Miriam, who started with us in 2017 when we began operations. Miriam is a small merchant, sells wholesale products in FMCG sector. He started with us. We empowered her with our financial education, where we gave her tools to manage her business efficiently. She was able to build digital history of her transactions over 3 years and graduate to a loan of $3,000 in 3 years. She has now been able to grow inventory for her business, grown by 3x in income. She has employed now 5 people across Nairobi, opening other branches. She has contributed to her community and referred other women like her to benefit in Pezesha. And now Miriam can dream of a better future for her and her children in the next coming years. We have been able to raise 1.2 million pre-seed round in the last 18 months. We have been able to empower more than 200,000 businesses. Out of that, 60% are women-led small businesses. We have disbursed more than $1.6 million to 75,000 loans and 4,000 lenders in our marketplace. I'm a second-time entrepreneur. I have built a fast fintech company, Wezatele, which was acquired in 2015 at a 20x return for the investors that were involved. Today, I'm asking for $700,000 investment to be able to empower more Miriams, more than 50,000 of them. We have a revenue growth of 400,000 in the last 3 years, and now we want to hit $1 million just in the coming year. Our financial education is digital. We just launched it 3 months ago. We're empowering small businesses with financial education tools, and at this time, they're still benefiting by learning more of how to grow their business. We are the first digital infrastructure in Kenya approved by the Capital Markets Authority under the Sandbox program. Thank you.
I would have a first question for you. You mentioned that example of that customer. How do you acquire that first customer, and how does it work? What are your acquisition channels?
So we acquire people like Miriam through supply chain entities. So we've partnered with suppliers in FMCG sector to start with. So that's fast moving consumer goods. So with those suppliers, we go to them, who are our anchor acquisition strategists, and they help us to then reach to their already existing wholesalers and retailers, which are thousands of them.
What's the biggest challenge that you're facing at the moment?
Well, beyond the COVID-19, which is a challenge that everyone is facing, because our businesses have been affected by cash flow. So we are still seeing how to support them in this as part of our fiduciary duty. And we have been able to give them longer payment periods. And for those ones in the supply chain sector in Kenya right now, they haven't been affected that much. So we are still lending to them and ensuring they are in business to provide food and basic necessities to the public. So we are not a lender. We are an infrastructure or an intermediary provider of technology. And so what we have, we provide as value add or value proposition is the marketplace for lenders to be able to come in and get quality small businesses that they can lend to. And that is why they're able to generate good returns at a default rate of less than 2%. In the long term, of course, we still do not want to be balance sheet lenders. There are so many of them in the market. We have, it's crowded here in Kenya, and Shruti can attest to that.
There's been a lot of activity, as Hilda rightfully said, in balance sheet lending. So there's been a number of startups that have gained significant scale, and I'm sure you've heard of some of them. There's Tala, there's Branch, and I think around 6 months ago, the government in Kenya created this coalition where banks would start lending to micro SMEs, loans that are under $2,500. And there was a lot of chatter around it. So there was a lot of money coming into this space. In some markets, like if you look at India, this would be like a deal, a lead generation fee. And running a business model on lead generation can be quite challenging. I think the interesting thing, at least based on Hilda's pitch so far, has been how she is monetizing, not just as a lead generation fee from banks who do lend to these businesses, but also as a portion of the interest income that the lenders make.
We see ourselves really as, for lack of just making it simpler, as an exchange platform and not as a lead generation platform. So exchange means, if you think of NSE here in Kenya, Nairobi Stock Exchange. Currently, the businesses that are listed there are big businesses, but the market for small businesses that have the potential to grow the capital markets doesn't exist. And even if it exists, it doesn't allow them to raise capital, like GEMS. And so we are an exchange for the future of small businesses to be able to be connected with working capital.
Hilda, fantastic success so far, and you're serving a really, really important need. I'm going to ask a slightly different question than the commercial one, because that's been very well covered, which is actually around the relationship between financial education and evolving kind of customer needs.
So we are seeing the needs changing, and that is basically informed by the data we collect. We cannot have a lot of agents going around to monitor all this business. We believe that's not scalable. And so we've really leveraged on the power of data, which then we collect from the mobile tool we give them, which manages their daily, monthly transactions, and also it manages the way they spend on a business. So it's a budget monitoring tool.
What could cause your company to fail?
So I will say people, and then the last thing I will say is crisis that we cannot be able to manage. So COVID-19 is here, but we have done a very good job as a team to manage this situation. We've put measures in place. We have reduced costs. We're over-communicating to our customers, partners, and employees. And we believe that if we continue with the measures we have put in place as of this week, we will be able to survive and still fulfill the mission that we have set and the vision for Pezesha. So I do not know what will stop us from reaching this vision unless it's a crisis that puts us on a lockdown for the next 3 years. I have 10 years of experience in fintech space in Kenya. And someone would ask me, why are the other lenders not building infrastructure like yours? They have the money, the resources more than Pezesha. Possibly they've raised lots of money. Why can't they jump into what you're doing? And the answer is this. It's hard to build this kind of infrastructures. It takes a lot of time, and I don't think majority of the digital lenders in the market are patient to be able to build this kind of infrastructures.
Thank you so much.
The biggest challenge for her will be the competitive market. So it's less about people wanting to lend, it's more about who are they lending to.
I have to say, compared to a lot of businesses that I've seen try to do this, she's actually accomplished a lot more than many, even some that are better funded. So I found it for relatively early stage really quite impressive. And a lot of that is to do with the team, who were one of the most solid I've seen.
I like her as a founder. I like her background. I think the story makes sense. What I would think is that partnerships are super important in this game to roll this out, either within their current geographies or across Africa. I couldn't find much information about that in the pitch deck and didn't really get to talk about it. I mean, I understand she has some partnerships, but I'd be curious to understand a bit more, like who on the team is really in charge of that, and what have they done in the past that sets them up for success to build out all these partnerships.
I'd met Hilda maybe 2 years ago when she was just sort of conceptualizing Pezesha. And her background from my conversation back then was she had done a lot of work on supply chains with FMCG and Coca-Cola type companies. And so her network of borrowers that she's been leveraging comes from that experience. But as Pierre-Alain said, the money coming in is probably going to be less of the challenge as opposed to the supply side, which is where I think her strengths are. But I mean, as an entrepreneur, I think she's quite impressive. I mean, this is not a market where you find people who lived through a full cycle of a startup. And also then taken that knowledge to try sort of extending to a different business space, utilizing what she built in the previous cycle. So I think on those aspects, I actually do like what she's doing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amir. I'm CEO and co-founder of Resync. Based in Singapore, Resync started 2.5 years ago. As you know, the whole energy infrastructure is going through drastic transformation. And this transformation is mainly driven by a few factors, by factor of renewable energy sources, which basically drastically dropping price of energy sources like solar, wind energy, by adoption of energy storage systems like batteries, EVs, and of course, digitalization of the whole ecosystem with internet access almost everywhere and high adoption of machine learning and AI models. All these together driving traditional grid infrastructure into the smart grid. So Resync, it's a cloud-based platform which aggregates an enormous amount of data from various domains. A bit of overview how a solution works like. We either integrate the data collection module from the customer side, or we can install our own. And then we use standard industrial communication protocols to collect real-time data. We run it through our machine learning algorithms to understand the customer behavior. And then using that output, we basically take real-time control action in order to provide the energy efficiency for our customers. And not only the energy assets, but we also integrate IoT devices. And then all the aggregated data is, of course, processed on a cloud and feed into the customer into the nice user interface. We are a B2B company. We're focusing mainly on corporates. And we do first pilot run with them. And then we integrate our solution to all their portfolio sites. We are looking at the market of around $10 billion at the moment. And this market is constantly growing because of the high adoption of renewables and of course digitalization. Entire team is techie. Myself, I used to work in the solar industry, and my co-founder, she's a mastermind of our solution. She did her PhD specifically focusing on developing control grids for energy and power systems. And her background is fully on energy space, and that's why we started to work on this together, because we clicked from the day one and we know what are the issues in the market and what we can do for it.
Thanks a lot for this presentation. I would have a first question for you. So sure. you generate revenues and from different things, from the hardware part as well as subscription from customers, if I understood correctly. What is the split more or less now?
At the moment, because the industry is still picking up, we're still deploying hardware to most of our customers. But some of our customers, they already have the hardware. And on a longer run, we feel that this hardware part will phase out.
So you will become more of a software company than a hardware company
we started as a software company, but as I said, we did hardware integration just to provide end-to-end solution to the customers.
Resync is playing in a very interesting part of the market. They are integrating different type of energy assets and helping their customers. So while their current targetable market might be small, it's also a market that is growing very rapidly, and they've been able to capture the currently available niche and grow on the back of it.
How do you see this changing in terms of the increasing pressure for climate-related financial disclosure?
Yeah, so on regards on the first question, it's actually opening up a bigger market for us. So I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, but in Singapore, every IPO company needs to provide a sustainability report at the end of the financial year.
Hey, Mir. I invest in a lot of B2B SaaS companies. And usually we look at two core competencies. Number one, you have to build it. And I see that a lot of your team is technical, so I trust that that's fairly covered. And then the other core competency is you have to sell it, right? And it'd be interesting to hear a bit about your traction, about your approach, and how to bring this into the market, or how to grow your market share. And then also a bit of an outlook on how you see this accelerate over the next 12 months, for example.
So we focused more on a tech part, and we didn't do sales at all for the first year. So we spent that angel money in order, we had certain angels who believed in the idea, and then we spent that money on the product. At the moment, you can see, I think, only 8 people, but we have 12 at the moment. So we have 2 sales guys, myself and one of the sales employee of ours. So as I said, we go to the conferences, or most of the time it's basically the energy events that are happening in the region. And that's one of the reasons how I know the Katerina from before as well. So in the next 12 months, what we see, I mean, we had quite a big goals, I would say, frankly, for this year. But due to this pandemic things, all the sales suddenly stopped. Of course, going forward, we will have to build a sales team which basically more experienced into the B2B sales. Main revenue is from the hardware, and up to today, revenue is around 150 plus. Okay.
What are the trends in the energy sector that would support or not the business of Resync? from your perspective?
Yeah. Well, we've already mentioned one of them, which is the need for decentralization of assets. But it's only one of the trends. The other two that are very important for the energy sector is digitalization, and the third one is decarbonization. Introduction of clean renewable energy sources. And what Rethink does quite in a clever way is combine those three together and tries to provide solutions that sort of address each of them. Decentralization by bringing different assets together and helping companies to manage them in a smarter way. Digitalization, just using new tools, analytical tools and reporting tools that the companies need today. And then, of course, the introduction of renewable energy sources is at the core of its value proposition. It takes them longer time just because of the B2B nature of the market to take up. So I'm not surprised by the speed of their development, which is slower than other maybe B2C type of startups.
What do you think would make your startup fail?
I hope it will never happen. Let's start from there. When you deal with big company and you deploy your solution and then something went wrong and they basically all went to crap, and then that company can tell hey, I used Rethink solution. It basically went to crap with all my assets, and I don't think I'm going to use it anymore. And if that company is credible in a market, that basically spread of what can work really bad on your reputation. So that's one of the reasons.
You're trying to, so you might raise another round. How much are you raising, and what valuation are you?
We are planning to raise around 3 million USD. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a nice day or evening, depends on where you are, guys.
Of course, there are companies that are trying to enter that space, but they've done it intelligently because Emir is from renewable energy background. His co-founder is, PhD, has herself AI capabilities, right? So they were able to combine that together and bring to the market something that works. The question about what will make them fail is that if they stop trying. That's the only thing that I see will stop them fail. They are on a good trajectory. It's just for energy, it takes time.
I can absolutely see why they are better than a lot of things that are out there. And I really like the fact that they've started out renewable first, technology first, automatically learning first. That's a real advantage for them. I don't think it's just salespeople. I mean, although Cedric, I completely agree, they're going to have to do well there. But it's really commercial and partnering strategy. I think they've done something smart in taking a strategic investment from the grid operator or transmission operator in Indonesia. But I actually think they need to partner, and quickly, with someone like a PwC or someone like that who's actually working at the highest level to figure out an integrated climate reporting and risk strategy, because that will really elevate their offer. If they continue to try and sell it by itself, I'm not sure they can ever hire a sales team that's big enough or deep enough to really quickly get on the flywheel of commercial success here. Sounds great, but it's also rather terrifying because it means they just don't have a clear story.
So are we comparing them to other solutions in the market, and are we comparing them to other startups that you would be able to invest in? That's
both,
the core
actually.
question.
Whoever is eating the cake. So
well, they are creating a new cake. That's the thing. They are one of the companies that are creating a new cake, and they are riding a wave of a new trend in the energy sector. That's how I would describe it, right?
This is an incredibly complex area, and I wouldn't have appreciated it as much had I not worked for one of the players looking at all the companies in this sector. They've actually, first of all, they have done far better than a lot of companies that are better funded at this stage, in more mature markets already. So I give them a lot of credit for that. Secondly, the fact that they have a self-learning, constantly on learning tool that's helping them optimize across a range of variables is really differentiated. And there is going to be a barrier to entry.
So we have a new startup now pitching, Optiol from Turkey, with Ozan and Tuba that will be presenting their company. And we also have Mev, that is an expert in the sector that will also give us a lot of insights on the business of Optiol.
Hello, my name is Ozan. Optiol is a transportation route optimization SaaS. Optiol makes life better for consumers, shippers, carriers, and drivers by enabling low-cost and on-time logistics. Optiol route optimization can be used by shippers and carriers to automate and optimize transportation planning. So Optiol optimizes fleet selection, order allocation, and visit sequencing. And with Optiol, these organizations can reduce fuel costs, fleet size, and driver costs significantly while improving on-time deliveries. The key differentiators are we have built a very comprehensive data model to capture a more realistic representation of the operations, and our modular and tunable algorithm design allows to create tailor-fit solutions for various business environments. We have now 5 active customers generating around $14,000 in MRR. A notable customer is a last-mile residential delivery company, which is one of the largest in Turkey for big box items, like household items. Optiol provides $1 million annual savings to this company, which corresponds to 6 times of their investment. Tuba and I are the founders with PhD degrees in supply chain optimization from Georgia Tech and over 10 years of experience in building decision support systems. Our CTO, Turan, is a software engineer, and he brings 20 years of experience in enterprise software architecture and applications. We are raising $1 million to be spent mostly for sales and marketing and continued development of our product. Thank you.
You guys are a couple, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Couple entrepreneurs, that's nice. Okay. Based on your experience, how much are the customers really needing these kind of solutions?
So from a consumer standpoint, I do think that it is quite important, not just in terms of saying that we can get the product for customers within a certain period of time, but then ensuring that that happens.
Are there a lot of players out there, and what kind of solutions? So what would be then your competitive advantage against them possibly?
So there are like 2 types of players. Like one are the legacy players. So they have been in the business for a long time, but their solutions were built before this e-commerce era. So their solutions do not satisfy the need of this new generation of customers. With the new players, yes, there are new players coming in. It will be a competitive area. I agree on that. So to do that, we try to identify what are the weaknesses, why still even the big companies are relying on manual planning or experience of planners. So we created the structure of a tailor-fit approach. So we created a very flexible algorithm which can be tuned, or like a Lego approach can be assembled for the need of each companies. Because really in cities, each city is different. Some cities are very dense, some cities are isolated. It can be a coastal city or inland city. So you cannot solve the problem with a single algorithm. So that's the differentiator we have. It can adapt to the conditions and then fine-tune the parameters to meet the demand of that.
Is this a problem that needs to be solved on a global or on a local level? Or in other words, can you become the best solution for a specific market while someone else captures another market? Or will there be one global player that's best everywhere?
It depends on your flexibility. So that's what we aim. So we want to be like a global player. That's why we want to create it flexible so that it, even in any geography, as long as we get mapping data, as long as we can calculate driving distances at times as an input, the solution will work. That's what we are aiming for.
What I understood was, yes, you are trying to solve it on a global level, but you think in the short to midterm you have an advantage locally because you are tailor-made for a certain geography.
Just so that I understand the unit economics as well, like, so what is the lifetime value of a customer, and what is the cost of acquisition of each customer?
So our average monthly revenue from customer is around $3,300 from 2019 numbers. And our customer acquisition cost, again, based on our all efforts in terms of sales and marketing, acquiring those customers, we get $9,500. So our payback period becomes 2.88 months. And in the lifetime value calculation, we don't have enough data because we have zero churn rate right now. But we know that in order to have a lifetime value of our customer acquisition cost 3, we need just 8.6 months lifetime value assumption. And our current contracts are annual subscriptions, so that is more than that. So if we assume our lifetime value is just 1 year, that will be 4.17 lifetime value of our customer acquisition cost. But with the big customer that we have contract, we have a 5-year contract. So customer wants us to make longer contracts.
Okay, so it's $9,000 to acquire one customer.
So that was the ratio in 2019, because all of the customers didn't convert yet. So we are still working on that, but that is the conservative number from 2019.
So as you're talking to your customers, what are the biggest challenges you have in terms of convincing them to use your software? And also, what are the data points that you're collecting that are helping you to do the optimization? And so if you can answer those two, that'd be great.
So the challenges generally are if they have a habit of like planning this manually over the years, there's like a change management issue. So the top management, if they see the numbers, like the CFOs or like the logistics manager, they can see the value. They can see potential improvements in customer service and cost reductions. What they are not sure generally is if they implement the solution, will the drivers adapt to this dynamic planning? Because what they are used to do is just allocating static neighborhoods for each neighbor, for each driver. They are familiar with the environment, and every day they are going to the same places. So this is good for them, but not for the business, because now the demand is variable. You cannot send out all your drivers every day, otherwise it's very costly. And in terms of optimization data, the data is we connect to map service providers to get traffic data and road distances. From customer systems, we get data related to orders. What's the pickup location, where is the delivery location, and what are the expected delivery hours, like the earliest time that we can deliver to the latest time, the order size in terms of capacity.
What do you think will be the impact of the coronavirus?
For the operations, so it actually like people, logistics is in the headlines all the time, which we are not very familiar, like supply chain logistics, like even in all news media, they are talking about logistics supply chain. Also, people are now, like the e-commerce is booming because people not go out shopping. So the volumes are increasing, and companies are not prepared for this change immediately. So the last 2 weeks, we received like new inbound orders from customers, even from very small size of a fleet, because they cannot, they say they cannot plan this scale of like grocery deliveries and other things. I think in the short term, there will be like a quick interest. More people will be interested in using the solution. What we are not sure is, will they have the budget for investment? But for that case, our model is a SaaS model, a subscription model. They can just pay monthly. And we even plan to offer like a trial period for them so that they just get started, because like the solution paybacks for itself. Because like
my colleagues have done a great job of asking today questions to you, Ozan and Tuba. So I'll ask a tomorrow question, because I notice it's mentioned in your deck. So obviously, a lot of the large players, the goal for them, the aspiration for all kinds of reasons, is to move to autonomous logistics as quickly as possible. And therefore, there's an alternative path in this sector, which is about integrating with the OEMs on that future path. So I just wonder how you see this playing out, and just how you look at it as a business.
So we see it as an opportunity, and like in our like R&D projects, we want to build some partnership with OEMs. For example, an organization in Finland, they are introducing a program with Scania, like at the tracking company. And one of the topics was like autonomous dispatching routing solutions for autonomous vehicles. So we'll try to engage with them. Or with Ford Motor Company, they have an R&D center in Turkey. we are also talking with them and try to work on some R&D projects together in those areas.
Great.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I think the one gap for me, and I had wanted to ask a question, sorry, but I didn't get in quick enough. The one gap for me is they don't have any logistics on the team. It's all industrial engineers, but there doesn't seem to be anybody that is coming from the logistics background. I feel that it's a very competitive market, and I think that not only are there the competitors that they highlighted on their deck, but also if you take UPS, if you take DHL, they actually do it themselves internally. They build their own systems internally and they do route optimization. And I think the last thing as well is that scaling in countries, they have to consider the different regulations. They'll also have to consider language. The different languages, and especially in MENA, that's going to be quite significant. But if they can get regional players, then I think that would be very helpful.
Would you yourself invest in the company?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the market in MENA. It's not clear to me, and I would want to go look at those numbers and that. There is a lot of pressure on businesses around their logistics. There's a lot of costs associated with that, and so they do need to reduce as much waste as they can. And a big part of that waste is route optimization. Is optimizing the route.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think they've been fortunate in a way in starting in Turkey, which has both large distances, a lot of complexity, urban environments, and a big kind of e-commerce challenge. But I'm concerned by the speed at which they could scale outside of Turkey into other markets that already have well-funded local competitors.
So we have our next company, which is Study Free, with Dasha, that will be presenting today. We also have as an expert Federico, who was the winner of SeedStars World last year, that will help us to give us some insights on the edtech sector and also on the market in general and the business of Dasha. So please, Dasha, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dasha. I'm CEO and founder of Study Free. Study Free is an online platform that helps talented people from any country to get any kinds of international education, including with scholarship and grants. And our students right now already study in 37 different countries and with more than $4 million of received scholarship and grants. How this is possible? That's how it usually works. You get to our platform and you're going to see a huge database of different programs already matched with scholarship and grants. You pick the program, and then you have all admission requirements automatically uploaded. Each requirement is going to be followed with its self instructions, useful materials, samples of the documents. You're also going to be able to find all necessary additional services right there on spot. Online schools, exam prep centers, student accommodation, so on and so forth. We launched our platform April last year, 1 year ago, and since then we managed to acquire almost 23,000 of active registered users from more than 108 countries, and around 7% of them are paying to us. Last month, we managed to make $60,000 of monthly revenue. We are operationally profitable, and all of this were done with zero funds raised so far. We estimated our market to be around $15 billion of US, and the one we can actually target almost $1 billion of US. We also managed to acquire a lot of top help on our side, such as advisors from a SeedStars family, Bas Gotska, and just recently we've been invited by top acceleration programs such as Techstars New York and Berkeley Skydeck in San Francisco. I personally genuinely believe that education is the most powerful instrument that can break any barrier for the personal growth and development. So let's make it available for everyone. Thank you.
One question, one number stuck out on that market size and our potential slide. And if I read correctly, you want to get to over $500 million within the next 2 to 3 years. Which would mean like a 1,000x compared to what you're doing today.
So there is a market. There is definitely low customer acquisition cost in our case. They're scalable. scalable channels across like different metrics and segments. And what we did right now, my initial funding was $300. We haven't raised any funds yet. So let's imagine like we're going to be raising and just going to be raising purely for growth because we're already profitable at the moment.
You just mentioned, and I also saw it at the slides, that you have a really low acquisition cost. I would like to understand a little bit more which are your main acquisition channels and how are you measuring that cost?
Yeah, so first of all, we have very high referral rate. So like our NPS score is 9.87, so we have a lot of organic. Second, the most effective that actually allows us to track customer and have low customer acquisition costs, these online webinars. So we have advertisements on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and so on, targeted advertisement that's going to be free online webinar on how to study abroad with scholarship and grants. People register and then at the end, they pay the access to the platform. You have 30% conversion rate. And it's done automatically each day for every country.
Hi, Dasha. Could I ask you a question? Which markets do you see as having the most growth in demand?
We have active paid users from CIS markets, Russian-speaking, Latin America, Brazil mostly, Africa, Southeast Asia. I personally believe actually the biggest growth we see right now is actually African countries. That's actually what I believe in. But then you have African countries who like growing massively in terms of the income, the internet penetration is growing massively. So for me, that's the next billion market. And I think it's really important to enter them right now and to be the pioneer in the market, like taking the largest stake.
On all the people that applied to your platform, how many got a scholarship in percentage?
98%. Yeah, 98.3% so far. I think this highest percentage, we have this scoring system that kind of like evaluates the background of the person and matches with the programs that the most probable. So I think that's kind of like the growth hack in our case, because we're really able to match students with the programs with the highest. So this ability to match them, kind of like their background and the opportunities that are available in the market, there's like a lot for any segment, any type of the students. That actually allows us to have this really, really high success rates.
And on so they pay by installments, right? It's a monthly payment.
Yeah.
But you still book the full revenue in advance.
Yeah.
And how much of that is not paid back or people are stopping
the churn rate? The last churn rate we calculated was around like 7% usually, but that's usually because people change their minds. You know, like I got a job, I'm not gonna go. Got like one girl and got pregnant, I'm not moving. So like there are almost like personal circumstances. But just because people don't pay, we don't have it, because I think we managed to consistently show the value, show the progress. And if their plans on education in general are not changing, they're paying on time, that's kind of like smooth and stable.
Mm-hmm.
What do your unit economics look like?
So yeah, when I mentioned the customer acquisition cost for paying across different channels is $40. The lifetime value on average per paying user is $1,000. And it's not necessarily if they pay us right away, like buying this premium package, is because they also buying a lot of additional services from our partners. Like they're gonna study English, they're gonna prepare for the exams, they're gonna find tickets, accommodation, and we all get percentage commission on the revenue share base. So we get like at least $200-300 from active student just from the partner side. Like for this kind of like half premium package, which costs $1,000, our operational cost is just $300. So the rest is just profit.
You said that you didn't raise money so far, and honestly, what you've achieved without raising money, I think that's a great sign of I think the great entrepreneurs from my perspective. So congrats on that. Now, do you intend to raise money, and if yes, how much, and what valuation do you expect?
Yeah, so yeah, we do, because we've proven ourselves that there is market, there is attraction. We got this survival DNA, fighting for every percentage and the conversion rates and every dollar. Not just really, like sitting on the money, but really making money and making business out of this. We're now actually at the very time to attract funds and to scale and growth, especially internationally on this market. So we're all like, we do, I don't know, like pre-seed, it depends on the country, how to call it, 500, like that we're raising. We if we decide to go to the both acceleration programs, each of them gives 100K. So we have around like 300 left, and yeah.
Okay. Okay, and valuation is basically you have something in mind?
Yeah, we did agree on evaluation with acceleration programs. It's formula and post money. Thank you. Good luck, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I can give my brief feedback. I like the founder. I know, I realize that she knows a lot about the business and about the industry. And I'm aware of the pain of all the students when trying to apply to universities. I only have the concern right now of what you were saying, Pierre, about how it's going to look the university's education model in the next 5 or 10 years. I would like to see the team, how they can adapt or change their business model, their product, when the education actually shifts. That's my big concern, but I think the business model is fine. I don't know, I would like to go a little bit deeper on the unit's economics, but I like the team. I understand the problem, and I think they're doing pretty well without any type of financing.
I generally agree. I think she's built a great business, absolutely, from scratch, with a tremendous amount of insight and obviously a kind of commitment to quality and continuous improvement. To me, it's an elite business that has a certain lifetime. It doesn't have the depth of impact because it's not about being inclusive. It's really going to be about servicing the elite in each of these countries who can really go for it. I just think from my personal perspective, it's a great business that I wouldn't necessarily invest in because I think she'll run it and grow it really well. I also think, probably the valuation is already a little bit high, given the race it's going to be to keep up in the face of increasing complexity.
Yeah, I think the only thing I can add is that I really like how they growth hack their way, like how they create processes and automate stuff, which is something that I don't see often enough. But sounded like very smart way of like making very little look like a lot. I thought that was very smart of her. The 1000x in like 2 to 3 years. I think it'd be interesting to sit down with her and get her thought. Like that would probably be my next step, is like to figure out like how much has she actually thought about, like how many problems that she's going to encounter in building out the team culture, operations on the way there. Like how much of that is clear to her versus. And then I think if it is clear, then I think it's great to be so ambitious. If I then discover that she doesn't really understand what 1000x will entail, then I would probably just think it's a bit naive to have that projection.
So next person today to pitch is Roberto from Baobab, live from Mexico. And we also are welcoming Fadi as our expert, who's leading the M&A activities at Naspers.
Hi, everyone. I am Roberto Salcedo, CEO of Baobab. Baobab is becoming the bridge to financial freedom in emerging markets. For the last 15 months, we have been delivering a world-class microfinancing service to underserved people in Mexico. With 4 people, we have served over 225,000 users, and today we manage a loan book of more than 20,000 loans. All of our loans have a 30-day maturity term. We charge an effective interest rate of 25%, and we lend between $25 to $250. The final purpose of our product is to help our customers develop their own credit history, so in time they can access other financial services and get economic development opportunities. Alongside of each of our loans, we provide a financial education program that becomes part of the evaluation process for a borrower's rebuy. In Mexico, there are some digital lenders already in the market. However, 43% of our more than 200,000 users have never heard of them. And in the short period of time we've been on the market, 9% of our customers have already chosen us after working with some of our competitors. My co-founder and I put together more than 20 years of experience in financing and software development to execute everything Baobab does today. Just in the last 6 months, our whole business has grown 4 times over. We disbursed 3 times as many loans as we did the year before, and we raised $350,000 of equity investment. Thank you very much, guys. Please go ahead with any questions you may have.
Thanks, Roberto, for giving us that background. The first question I have is, how do you acquire your customers?
So from the beginning, we designed our service to be able to provide us with organic growth and force a little mouth to mouth. So right from the beginning, our evaluation process required the applicants to provide 4 personal references. We interacted with these 4 personal references and tried to convert them into users. So that was our approach from the very beginning. And of course, we are right now using all digital channels we have available to us: Facebook ads, Google ads, our presence in the Play Store.
And I have another question, which is related to that kind of businesses. It's the over-indebtedness. How do you make sure that your customers are not taking too much debt because it's from you, but they might take that from other providers? How do you ensure that?
Of course, this is something of the utmost important for us. That's why we developed our financial education program, just to be able to teach our users how to manage a loan, how to manage debt and their income. And we actually have several business policies in place in order for us to prevent over-indebting our customers.
It's a very crowded place. These kind of micro lending on smartphone companies. Fadi, what would be your take on that from your perspective?
I think a lot of these places are very big markets. There's very large TAMs. So unlike some other traditional consumer internet models where they're winner takes all or winner takes most, I think in lending, actually, there's room for multiple players in the market. So I'd be happy to see multiple winners evolve in a market.
I'm curious though, running a digital only solution means you don't always get to know that much about who your customers are and what they're actually using the funds for. So can you tell me a little bit about who, where, and why the customers borrow?
Of course. Our product is designed specifically to tend to small liquidity needs for people, mainly for self-employed people. So people who are funding a very small economic activity, such as people selling through catalogs, vendors on the street, taxi drivers, people like this. And our other 60% of the portfolio comes from formally employed people. And they are using it to just replenish their monthly income and be able to reach their next payday. Well, since we are 100% digital, we are covering the whole country. So we have users all around the country, and of course we have a bit of concentration in the main cities, but we also have some countryside customers.
What is your net revenue? So what's the money that you get to keep from the interest rates?
So right now, like I said, we charge an effective interest rate of 25%, so within the 30-day term. And right now, we are producing around $30,000 a month for net interest income.
And so it's all your money. It's on your balance sheet. You don't pay that interest to someone else that gives you the money.
That is correct. It is balanced lending, okay. And so far we have funded it just through equity raises. Thank you very much to all.
Fadi, on your side, would you invest in the company?
I would probably say no, in all honesty. I think one, unfortunately, is a side of the times. Look, this is a space that we spend a lot of time on. We have several investors. investments in this space. I think given the uncertainty in the economic cycle right now, these are businesses that are going to do very well in boom times and going to be challenging during weak economic cycles. So I think just broadly, the macroeconomic environment is going to be difficult for a business like this right now. I think too, this is a business where, I had said it during the meeting where there's a lot of white space, there's a lot of opportunity for them to grow here. But it's a market which is quickly becoming crowded as well.
I wouldn't, aside from, I don't know the space too well, but just the fact that they're doing balance sheet lending isn't very interesting to me, because it means their growth is going to be capped. So for me, it would be, if I were to invest, I think I would invest in a business that already has that part figured out and is able to scale their financing.
For me, there has to be some degree of specialization and sophistication around impact at this point. Because, for example, there's a business I know that was doing lending for school fees, for vegetable traders, and also allowing them a wholesale discount at the back end. If you think in a creative way about really deepening your impact for your user, you will gain loyalty and a following and a specialization. But generic balance sheet lending, no matter how well you do it, and I'm sure they're doing it very well, just doesn't feel to me to have the right to succeed. It's going to be about deep pockets.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting, all these thoughts, because we do have some companies like that also in our portfolio. And I must say that, so that's an interesting business because it's, I would not say easy, but like pretty easy to acquire customers because you're providing loans. So it's at least to attract customers, it kind of works. So for me, it's the future is still unclear, but short term, it seems to be quite interesting, and I guess it will depend a lot on how they position themselves in the future. If they are, from my perspective, if they are opening up to other areas and really use loans as a hook, I think that can be extremely powerful also in the future. So that would be my take on that.
So while the jury deliberates, let me give you a quick recap of the key things they're probably discussing. As you know, the first thing they'll be looking at is the team. I hope you've all noticed that this year we have 4 out of 5 teams with a female founder. It's way above the usual rates, which is typically around 10 to 15%. But the question is, does the team have the right background for the job? There's good industry experience across the board, so no red flags there. But Hilda from Possessia is going to stand out. She's the only one to have had an exit, and serial entrepreneurs are highly sought after. Compared to anything the founders say, their track record will speak the loudest. And a good way to judge this is by looking at the revenue growth since they started. All the companies are high growth. They've been expanding between 50 and 100% in the last 3 months. But the standout growth curve you see here is StudyFree, who have bootstrapped their way to a higher revenue in a shorter amount of time than any of the others. It'd be crazy not to talk about COVID-19, and the jury will definitely be considering what are the potential impacts. The sad reality is that very few businesses are benefiting from the crisis, as both consumer and business spending have just been plummeting. The lending space in which Possessia and Baobab operate are going to be hit, and SMEs are already failing around us. For Resync, Optiol, and StudyFree, there is going to be both challenges and opportunities. Take Optiol as an example. Home deliveries are increasing and optimization will be even more important. But on the other hand, unblocking new budget from customers will be a challenge actually for all of them. A competitive advantage is simply going to be the ability to survive the crisis. And fortunately here, all the companies have a decent runway. 2 just raised and the other 3 have a pretty low burn and again, a sizable runway. Finally, the deal is going to be challenged by the jury. Possessia is raising at the higher end, but have a pretty good traction already from the investor community. Resync have already closed their round in December, and the next round terms aren't yet known. Optiol is somewhere in the middle, while StudyFree and Baobab are raising at the lower end and at lower multiples, which I think is going to be noticed by the jury. Well, that's my take. Over the last 6 editions, we've had 3 winners from Asia, 2 from Africa, and 1 from LATAM. So let's see which startup and which region are going to take away this year's title.
The job for us now is to understand which one we would like to bet on. Pesesha, for me, what came out from the discussions were the team is quite good, especially the background, the experience. Had a first exit, even though it's not necessarily completely representative. But I mean, she was in the space and she sold the company, had a good return for the investors. So I think that was an interesting part. She has experience in that sector as well, even though it's slightly different. The negative part for me is that it's a crowded space. So it's there are a lot of players.
I mean, I agree that the challenging thing is the competitive environment. But to be honest, if I think about the quality of the team as a relative set, that team actually was more complete than some that we saw. So that wasn't a particularly weak point from my perspective. It was one of the stronger.
Okay, and then the next one is Rethink. How big really is the market, and how really is it a painkiller versus a vitamin, and also how the competition might come up with solutions.
I mean, this for me was the one I was most excited about, because I think it is one of the harder spaces to do something good with, and the fact that they've gotten to where they've gotten when others have struggled for 3, 4, 5 years to get anything. I think and having, not raised a huge amount of money. I've seen players in this space raise 8-10 million and not have the traction they had. The other thing is that I think they have the balance of skills in the founding team is remarkable. You don't often see, and they came out of EF, right? So, I mean, you have this kind of extraordinary combination of AI, technical skill, and energy industry experience that's very unusual. And they're working in Asia, and with some very big brands already. So I think here, my concern would be that the lack of familiarity with comparators might cause us to downgrade them. But this is the sector I've seen a lot of. I think this is a market that is going to grow significantly. As Katarina said, they're really on a set of trends in a way that not many others are.
I think given that they're in a space that is probably the worst of enterprise sales in terms of long lead times and long sales cycles, I was also surprised that they already had a bit of traction. And also I thought it was clever that they just, like, when they realized also they need to do some hardware for now, even though their long-term vision is software, that they were just able to adapt to that. And that gave them a competitive advantage in this phase. That's something that I really liked, because it also speaks to the team and their adaptability.
Then the next one is Optiol.
In the discussion, I kind of would have wanted them to say, yes, there is a local advantage and we're not going to try and compete on the global level, because we know there's like huge logistics companies that have teams of hundreds of PhDs that are working on these problems. None of them understand the, let's say, Turkish market as well as we do. We know all the local players. We know all the local regulations. We know the local things that people are used to in terms of like when stuff needs to be delivered and how it needs to be delivered. Unfortunately, I didn't get that answer. So that was a bit of I think I'm less excited about them now that they said, oh, we're going to compete on the global level. We're going to try and do both be locally present as well as compete on the global level. So that was the showstopper for me.
Yeah, I agree. And particularly because that's why they're raising funds now. Whereas actually, it's a relatively less crowded space in Turkey, and they could really do a lot with a market that big. So I would want to see 1 or 2 adjacent markets, but not global, not the US, not the Netherlands.
The next one is StudyFree. So something that was for me that came out from StudyFree is that the team seems very good. Like we mentioned before, like the fact that she was able to basically create a company that's generating almost $1 million in revenues without funding, I think is an extremely good sign for me. The business model and the unit economics are also extremely interesting on that side. So from attraction, team, and business model, I think these are, for me, the positive part. What's more challenging is the market size. We've mentioned it. For the moment, she's focusing on a niche market, and how much can she really expand in other markets? That's still for me a question mark.
I mean, amazing founder, niche market will probably dominate in that space, but that'll be challenged over time.
One reason why I would probably feel good about investing in this business is because I feel they are very clever and smart in how they handle their resources. And so that's always a positive for me. If it's a business that's at the very early stage, I always like founders to be kind of thinking of how can they get the most buck out of every single dollar, and not just like think of in tens of thousands of dollars suddenly.
Finally, we have Baobab. So that's a market I think that is I would say well known for investors, because there are a bunch of similar companies out there. For me, what's interesting also, of course, in these kind of businesses is the traction that they have, but it's also also directly due to the kind of model that they're in. Like, they're literally throwing money at people. So it's not easy, but it's easier to attract people when you throw the money at them. I think that explains a big part of the traction. The negative part of that model, of course, is it's a crowded space. The other part is that they also depend on for their whole acquisition on one single channel, which is Android.
I mean, from my point of view, they're smart guys. They know how to run a loan book. But I think there's a number of vulnerabilities as well as competitive challenges. I would have really wanted to see someone on their key team who was not coming from an elite finance background, who really understood. What I've seen succeed in businesses like this is someone who's literally grown up as a working, poor, hustling person who really understands the needs intimately. And there was no customer insight there that I could determine.
What would you go for if you had to choose one? We have received more than 5,000 applications. We've been in 83 countries, selected 46 startups during 5 regional summits. And we have reunited them in what's today the largest competition for startups in emerging markets. So after a very long and difficult deliberation with the jury and the investment team, we have a winner. Hilda, you stood out as a charismatic founder with a prior exit and great industry experience. Your business model is quite unique because you're not an on-balance sheet lender. However, our main concern is the intense competition in the lending space. Emir, you're at the forefront of energy digitalization. This is very challenging, but this is a huge opportunity. And we're all convinced that you and your team are the right one to tackle that opportunity, given your deep industry knowledge and technical expertise. But you're still relying a lot on hardware, and you're not a pure software company. And the life cycle for sales in that industry is quite long. Touba and Ozan, we liked your technical capacity, and we believe that you have built a very strong, robust, flexible solution for route optimization. The jury and the investment team were a bit concerned about the competition and whether the market opportunity is local, regional, or global. Dasha, what stand out with you was your capacity to generate $60,000 in monthly revenue with only $600 in funding. I think you clearly got the hustler and hacker attitude that any entrepreneur, especially at an early stage, should have. The jury and myself and the investment team had some concerns, however, on your capacity to serve the lowest income segment of the population in emerging markets, because your positioning is quite premium at the moment. Finally, Roberto, you and your team have a strong financial background. You demonstrated also tenacity when the App Store shut down, which is a great skill that you want to have as an entrepreneur in such circumstances. However, our concern, again, is around competition, but also in the potential risk of over-indebtedness of your customers. So, before I announce the winner, I would like to thank all the people and the partners that made this possible, especially during this challenging time. Thank you very much. And before giving the name of the winner, I would like to remind the public that you also can vote for your best startup, and we'll announce the public prize winner on our website. So now is the time. The 2020 SeedStars World Global winner is Dasha from StudyFree.
Thank you. I feel like my heart is gonna pop out the very moment. Oh my god. I remember like the first time we got it first place in Russia, I was like screaming my team like on the whole building. I wish it could be same right now. Thank you so much. My mom was looking. Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
Do you want to say a few words maybe, Dasha?
That feels amazing. I mean, well, first of all, I looked like all the teams, and I think like everyone is doing such an amazing work. And I talked to my team like, guys, I mean, everyone is so strong and doing like so much like efforts, like no matter like who wins, like they're all amazing. And let's not put high hopes, just gonna go back to work. If we win, we're gonna go to sleep for one day, potentially. So I'm really, really thankful for the SeedStars for this opportunity, because I believe we've been speaking to so many companies, investors, and mentors, but SeedStars is the only place that can actually understand what we're doing, what we're building, the markets we're working in, can really support us in the way we need, bringing the impact while still building a business in the country that need it the most. And I'm like the biggest advocate right now. And we have advisors right now, thanks to you. We have partners, and thank you. Thank you for this competition. Thank you for all these resources. That's the most amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dasha. Thank you. And really congratulations. Like I said, it was a big journey from all these 5,000 applications. We had to choose one winner. Of course, I would like to congratulate all the other participants. We're entrepreneurs ourselves. We know how difficult and hard it is to be an entrepreneur. It doesn't mean at all that your business is not good, and that you might not receive an investment, but you know, these are the rule of the game.
I think you guys done a great job, and even though I'm joining from outside, but I was really excited as well. First of all, of course, congratulations to Dasha. Well done. I really hope your startup journey will really be exciting and you'll make it. I'm happy to be a part of the family as well. So thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
For us, it was a very good journey. The SeedStars starting with the local competition, the regional summit, and the world summit, and we are very excited about all of those. So thank you, everyone.
So congratulations, Dasha, and thank you very much to the SeedStars team for our whole journey. It's been a very exciting year for us here in Mexico, in Baobab, and you guys were part of this exciting year. This is our very first year of operation.
I just want to say thank you to SeedStars. Thank you. I'm really honored to meet other entrepreneurs. Congratulations, Dasha. And, I definitely believe that, we're all going to be, at the forefront of building our economies, changing where we're coming from. And of course, at the end of the day, collaboration is going to be key. So let's see how we can share lessons, ideas, how we can help each other and continue to work together during this time and beyond and above to make our businesses succeed.
So I would like also to thank again the jury, the partners, and of course, the public. Now we'll have to say digitally goodbye, and I hope to see you all next year. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.